Perseverance is failing 19 times and succeeding the 20th. Julie Andrews. My friends, 10 to 15 minutes a day, do the work. You can learn to do this. Some of the best traders I know have the least amount of formalized education. Do not think you have to be a banker on Wall Street to be able to figure out how to read these stock charts. It just takes practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. How do you get good at anything? You dedicate yourself to it. And I'm convinced that whatever the mind of man can devote itself to and stick with, you can learn and master. Some people do it quicker. Some people, I find that everybody takes a decent amount of time to really inculcate this kind of thinking into your head and to set up your own way of doing things, the consistency of doing it each and every day, finding the times each day to look at the market, making sure you're setting up your profit and loss bands, you're following your practice trades, you're making your notes, you're reviewing those, you're learning from what you're doing, you're improving, all those kind of things. Now let's jump into these charts. We see the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 are down. We jumped in early to a down trade yesterday. You might say, Tom, why are you doing that? The STC didn't go negative until this afternoon. Why did you jump in early? Are you some kind of crazy risk taker? And I would say, I'm not. I went and backtracked and I found a pattern that appeared to work again and again and again over these recent time periods with a great deal of success. What did I see? I noticed with a negative 14, that is the weekly and the 2-day are down. We're well below the 200 EMA. And I noticed patterns where after pull-ups, when the market collapsed again in this this going from a bull market to a bear market that we are now in, I found that if you started off in particular strong, solid red down candle, the guys who've taken our training when it comes to the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, you know the strongest Heikin-Ashi candlestick is a solid red candle, no wick on top, wick on the bottom. Shows that you've got move after move after move down. The bigger the candle, the increasing size of the down candles, the more strength those candles have. Well, I saw that pattern setting up where things dropped off after 3 days of up movement and started to hammer down. I said, I think I'm going to give this a shot, jump in early, set up my loss band so that I wouldn't be risking but 3.34% at the most. And in fact, if it went to a green candle, I was going to pull it then. We jumped in, things tracked down in the afternoon, made me feel good as the market was closing yesterday with where we had started, popped down in the morning, slowed down in the afternoon. Now, I'm not feeling great about that happening, but I look back at some of these prior patterns and I can see where things sort of digested a couple of strong candles of down movement and then moved down again. So we'll keep an eye on things. This might not work, but look at this. My STC went red at the end of the day, which makes me feel good. So I am feeling good about this. Now, I used information I had gleaned from success in the past to be able to help me forecast what I predict the market will do. And again, what are we counting on? A 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, being able to capture gains and minimize losses. If you do that, you only got to be accurate, my friends, 4 out of 10 times in order to be successful. If you've not taken our always succeeding formula or whatever the name of that one is, it's one of the top 5s that we've just put out for you. But it's the one that explains how we set up these profit and loss bands and gives you the math actually on how this works. Please make sure to take those. In fact, the specific one that I can't remember the correct name on right now, I'm going to put at the end of today's video just for you. I want you to take that so you understand the math, where this 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio always works for you. So again, if you will apply the lessons, things will get better. you will get better. You will love this. You will wake up every morning like I do, and you cannot wait to get to your charts, no matter what you're doing the rest of the day. I do not spend my days in the charts. I told you guys, I look at the charts twice a day, late morning, late afternoon. That's it. Then I do the show with you guys after the market closes. So again, this is not something that takes up all your time. This is a habit that pays nice dividends if you get it down. So we're going in the right direction there. We're at -15 now at the end of the day, feeling good about it. What about the Qs? Did the same thing there. Don't have to repeat myself, go through the same explanation. It also turned over at the end of the day. Now, it could change tomorrow. Things could start bucking up. I'll pull both those trades if that's the situation. But going in the right direction now. Let's move on to the 20-year government bonds. Now, as we look at these, we can, of course, see that I did not do the same thing that I did on the S&P. Why? Because I look back at this prior trade and how it did not work. Instead of gaining what we had hoped to, let me tighten this up so you can see, a 4.52%, things went down and then went against us and bumped up. We pulled the trade, only making only 1.17%. I guess that's more than you're getting in your savings account now. And that was over a very short period of time with no loss and a 1.17% gain. It's not bad. I'm spoiled because it's not 4.52%. Hence, I'm going to wait for the STC to roll over and go down before I jump in. We're still at a -14 right now, waiting for it to go -15 with the STC going red on the 195-minute chart. When that happens, I'll be back into shorting TLT. How do I short TLT? Of course, TBF. That is the single short. In fact, if you plug TBF in here, you will see we've got a great training on inverse funds, how to make money when markets crash. Remember that name, look it up, watch the video. You can see that as bonds have been going up over the last few days, look at what's been happening to TBT. It's been going down. But as bonds were going down, as the long-owned bonds was going up, the short-owned bonds was going down, and the opposite is true. I'm going to get myself tongue-tied and confused. This is the short inverse fund, okay? This is just the regular bond fund. They are completely the opposite. They are set up to be inverses to each other, percentage for percentage. You can see that the price is different. TLT is a lot higher in price than TBF. When we look at the price there, you can see that it's only, 19 something a share. Well, a lot cheaper. Doesn't matter. Same percentage changes. That's what you're looking for. If you buy $1,000 worth of TBF, you'll have a lot more shares than if you buy $1,000 worth of TLT, but it's going to be the same percentage increase or decrease. If you are doing your work correctly, the value will go up. So that's what we're looking at. Now, let's go to gold. We ended our gold trade, of course, with a 2.89% gain on Wednesday morning. And of course, on Thursday, look, it's almost prescient, isn't it, that things went down 2 ATRs, the average true range times 2. That was our profit band. We hit that, knocked us out. We actually hit it much earlier, but I had the profit band set wrong. It's always important to check your work. How do you do that? When you set this, let me just show you a quick and easy how to know that you've set things right that I didn't bother to look at. This is what you do. You look at your entry point, which of course you're picking as to the time that you buy. Things go over red, the close of that candle or close to it when you have a chance to do your buy-in. And then of course you set your stop on a down move at the higher ATR. Now those ATR numbers pop up. You can see, let me go to, okay, you see it's that green number right over here. It changes when I move, but you can see it's 176.62. It's what I set it at. Then I have my buying point. It tells me what my loss band is set at a 1.44. Now 1.44 times 2, right, is roughly 2.89. It's actually 2.88, so this must be more like a half. It's just not showing us that. So 144.5. And then of course you can see it's 2 times that. All I had to do was sort of compare those numbers real quick, just eyeballing it. I didn't do that. I set it way too high and we never hit it. We would have hit it early back on the 13th. Instead, I lost a little bit, ended up gaining it back just thankfully in the morning on Wednesday. So again, when you enter your profit and loss bands, always double check your math. If you got somebody following up behind you, a friend, a spouse, a brother, a sister, somebody that's working with you, have them double check your math for you. Again, always a smart thing to do. Ended up capturing my gain nonetheless. And look, bingo, gold then popped over and headed up. It would have taken out more than half my profit if we hadn't hit that band and closed our trade. So what's gold up to now? Well, it's still negative on the 2-day, still negative on the weekly. That means that it's at a negative 14. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for gold to roll back over again. Now, maybe it doesn't. Maybe gold is on a tear now and it's just going to keep moving up, pull the STCs over on the 2-day and the weekly. That would be fabulous. I'll be ready to jump into gold and go long. It's going to need to move above that 200 EMA before I'm going to jump into a long position. Maybe it'll do it. Otherwise, it'll roll back over and I'll jump back in for another short trade on gold. Let's go to Bitcoin and wrap this baby up. Bitcoin is at a negative 14 right now, up for the day, 2.44%. It's really been sliding sideways for many days now, still quite negative. The weekly still down, the 2-day still down. What are we doing with Bitcoin? Nothing right now. We're waiting to see Bitcoin recover, start moving up. We got to move above the 200 EMA. We got all sorts of stuff that has to happen before we're going to be jumping into Bitcoin and going long. Our last short position on Bitcoin, 3.61% down. Boom. That was a nice, successful trade. That is where we are, folks, as we end the day. Don't forget, tomorrow we will have our weekly review and forecast for you, talking about what happened over the week and where things might be going this next week. Always join us. And Patreon members, your 20 weekly vertical crossovers have already been emailed out to you. If for some reason you're not seeing the email, always check the Patreon page. We upload everything there for you too. Locked in for Patreon members. We did open up more Patreon support possibilities for you at the lowest level, the $30 a month level, where, of course, what do you get? Number one thing is that Options Made Simple Charting Wealth Way. If you want to learn options, we got it. I think it's the best training on the internet. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.